I never thought curiosity could be lethal. I was just an ordinary guy with a morbid fascination for the darker corners of the internet. One night, after scrolling through forums about urban legends and cryptic websites, I stumbled upon something that promised access to the market below, an invitation-only marketplace that no one had ever verified existed. The description was cryptic: "What you seek, you will find. But be warned, once the door opens, there is no closing it." It was late and the house was silent. My heart pounded with that dangerous mixture of fear and excitement. I typed the URL, which had been handed down in whispers across obscure forums, and pressed enter. The page loaded slowly, each second stretching my patience. Then it appeared, a black screen with a single blinking cursor, asking me to confirm my identity. I clicked yes, because honestly, at that moment, I wasn't thinking. The interface that followed looked like something out of a nightmare. Grids of human faces, each with a small label: age, gender, country, and a price. I froze. It was human trafficking, real, raw, and unfiltered. The images weren't stock photos, they were photos of real people. Some looked terrified, others apathetic, resigned to whatever fate awaited them. I didn't know what compelled me to click further, but I did. The next page asked me to choose a role. I thought it was a test, a sick game. But the moment I selected Observer, everything changed. My screen went black. Then a video feed opened, not from my webcam, but of me, my apartment, my living room, my bed. I tried to move, but my body felt heavy, like gravity had doubled. A voice crackled through my speakers, deep and distorted. "Curiosity has its price. You are no longer merely a visitor." Panic surged, but I couldn't scream. I couldn't move. Then the feed shifted. I was no longer in my apartment. I was in a warehouse, a massive, cold, windowless structure filled with rows of cages. People huddled together, some sobbing, some silent. A man approached me. He was tall, muscular, and had a mask that covered half his face. His eyes, however, were impossible to forget, cold, calculating, hungry for fear. "You wanted to see," he said. "Now you belong." I tried to explain that I wasn't part of this, that I didn't want anything to do with it, but the words wouldn't come. My throat tightened. My limbs refused to respond. It was like I had been uploaded into the very system I had been observing, trapped in a body that wasn't quite my own. Days, or maybe hours, I couldn't tell, passed. I watched the horror around me, helpless. The traffickers moved like ghosts, invisible yet omnipresent, controlling everything. There were no guards, no alarms, just the silent threat of immediate, brutal enforcement. People were moved in and out of the cages, their fates determined by buyers in distant countries who paid with cryptocurrency. The worst part wasn't the physical suffering, it was the feeling of invisibility, of being watched but unheard. I realized then that the market below wasn't just a site. It was a machine, a living system designed to feed off fear, curiosity, and human life, and I had become part of it. I tried to escape. I ran through narrow corridors, dodged masked men, hid under crates. Every door I opened led to more cages, more prisoners, more horror. Each time I thought I had found an exit, the walls shifted, the layout morphing into something impossible, labyrinthine. It was like the building itself was alive, aware of my attempts, punishing me for wanting freedom. Eventually, I stopped running. I huddled in a corner and watched as another new victim arrived, a young woman, terrified, shaking. She looked directly at me, and in her eyes, I saw a reflection of myself, disbelief, fear, regret. I wanted to warn her, to tell her to turn back, but the words were gone. I could only watch, powerless. Then the voice returned. "Curiosity is permanent. You are part of the market now." And in that moment, I understood. This wasn't just a marketplace for humans. It was a trap. Anyone who came looking, anyone who tried to peek behind the curtain, became prey. The market fed on more than money. It fed on the very essence of people like me, those who thought they could observe without consequence. I don't know if I'll ever escape. Some nights, when the lights flicker and the cages rattle, I still hear the faint hum of a computer, somewhere out there in the real world, luring another curious soul into the market below. And I know, with sick certainty, that the same fate awaits them. Curiosity is a dangerous thing, and sometimes it's fatal. I never thought a stranger online could ruin my life. I thought I was careful, never sharing my home address, using burner emails, changing passwords frequently. but I underestimated the depth of the dark web. It started innocuously enough. I was browsing a forum dedicated to true crime and conspiracy theories when a user messaged me. "I know you like puzzles. Want to try a challenge?" The username was cryptic, Shadow Cipher 92. I hesitated, but curiosity got the better of me. After all, I'd spent years studying encryption, breaking codes, and dabbling in cyber mysteries. A puzzle sounded harmless. The first challenge was simple: a photo with hidden metadata pointing to a location. I solved it, posting my answer on the forum as instructed. Shadow Cipher 92 responded immediately, praising my skill, and offered a second challenge. Then the third, and the fourth. Each one grew stranger and darker. Some involved real-time observation of strangers through hacked webcams. Others required me to access databases that weren't meant to be public. I should have stopped, but the thrill of being a step ahead of someone, or something, was intoxicating. It all went wrong the night Shadow Cipher 92 sent a file labeled Proof of Mastery. I downloaded it without thinking. It was an innocuous-looking PDF at first glance, but the second I opened it, my screen glitched. Images flickered, photos of me in my apartment, my car, even the grocery store I frequented. But what terrified me most were the documents: official forms, scanned ID cards, utility bills, everything that proved my identity. Before I could react, a message appeared. "Now the real game begins. You know everything about me. I know everything about you. Let's see who can survive this." I shrugged it off as an elaborate prank, until the next morning when the police came knocking. Two detectives stood in my doorway, their expressions grim. They showed me photos from a recent murder scene: blood, disarray, the lifeless body of a man I'd never met. And then they showed me surveillance footage. At first I couldn't believe it. A figure in my exact coat, walking out of the building minutes after the crime. The timestamp matched the time I had been asleep in my apartment. I insisted I was innocent. They didn't believe me. My phone records, social media activity, even my purchase history had been manipulated to create an airtight timeline of my supposed movements. Someone had framed me perfectly, and I knew exactly who it was. Shadow Cipher 92. Panic consumed me. I wanted to track them, fight back, find proof. But every time I tried, my devices glitched, accounts were locked, and messages disappeared. It was like they anticipated every move I made. Even worse, I realized they had control over my financial accounts. Large sums were moved, then returned, leaving me with no way to explain the fluctuations to the authorities. I tried to go offline completely, but it was useless. At night, my apartment lights flickered, my door lock clicked on its own, and my phone lit up with messages I hadn't sent. Tick-tock. Time is short. Decide your fate. The detective assigned to my case, a young woman named Ortiz, warned me to document everything. But what could I document when every shred of evidence was being manipulated in real time? Even my attempts to call friends or family were intercepted. They received messages in my name, convincing them I was unstable, dangerous, or lying. Days blurred together. Every time I thought I had escaped Shadow Cipher 92's influence, a new layer of horror revealed itself. Someone I trusted received a package I never sent. A USB drive containing intimate videos, personal emails, and private documents. It was a warning: you can't hide from me. Sleep became impossible. I lived in terror, knowing that one misstep would land me in jail, or worse. Shadow Cipher 92 wasn't just a hacker. They were a predator, feeding off fear and control. They had infiltrated my life so completely that I couldn't trust reality itself. Then one night, a video appeared on my laptop. My own face, asleep at my desk, recorded through my webcam. Shadow Cipher 92's distorted voice whispered, "Smile, you're famous now. Everyone believes you're the killer, and no one can help you. Enjoy your new life." I realized then the truth. I wasn't going to escape. My identity had been stolen, twisted, and weaponized. The dark web wasn't just a place for illegal trades or twisted communities. It was a hunting ground, and I was the prey. Now, I live in constant fear. Every knock on the door, every notification, every stranger's gaze feels like a threat. The police continue to investigate, but no matter how much I explain, the evidence against me is overwhelming. Shadow Cipher 92 has woven my life into a perfect frame, leaving me with nothing but paranoia, terror, and the knowledge that someone out there, somewhere, is watching, controlling, and enjoying the chaos. The lesson is simple. Curiosity and skill are useless against a predator who knows everything. The shadow behind the screen isn't just observing, it's rewriting reality. And in the end, it doesn't matter if you're innocent, because once they choose you, your life ceases to be yours. I was never supposed to be part of that world. I was just a warehouse worker, someone who clocked in, clocked out, and went home to a one-bedroom apartment that smelled faintly of mold and despair. I didn't have ambitions, just bills. That's what made me the perfect target. It started with a side hustle. I'd been selling used electronics online, mostly laptops I repaired from junked stock. One buyer, username Victor77, became a repeat customer. He paid on time, tipped generously, and once sent me a message that changed everything. "You seem reliable. I could use someone with your skills. Better pay. Zero risk." Zero risk should have been my first red flag. But back then, I was 2 months behind on rent and one car payment away from losing everything. I agreed to hear him out. Victor gave me instructions through encrypted emails. My first job was to receive a package, log its serial number, and forward it to a new address. The item was heavy and sealed, so I never looked inside. I was told it was industrial equipment. The pay, $2,000 for less than an hour's work. Easy money. The second shipment came a week later. This one was smaller but heavier, wrapped in black plastic with no labels. I started to get suspicious and asked Victor what I was handling. He replied instantly, "You don't want to know. Trust earns more than questions." I should have walked away, but greed is a powerful blindfold. The next few jobs went smoothly. Packages came and went. Money hit my account like clockwork. Then one night I received a message that wasn't like the others. "We need you to hold a shipment temporarily. 2 days. It's delicate." When the crate arrived, it was massive, wooden, reinforced with metal brackets. The smell hit me first. Oil, gunpowder, and something faintly metallic. I pried open the top just enough to see what was inside. Assault rifles, dozens of them. Some still coated in packing grease, others wrapped in plastic. My stomach turned. I realized then that I wasn't a middleman for electronics or equipment. I was a cog in an illegal arms operation, moving weapons across state lines, maybe even across borders. I messaged Victor in a panic, demanding answers. He replied calmly, "Relax, you're not dealing, you're storing. As long as you don't talk, you're safe." But safe was the last thing I felt. I stayed up all night, pacing, staring at the crate. Every noise outside made me flinch. By morning, I decided to report it anonymously. But before I could, I received another message. "You spoke to no one, yes?" My blood ran cold. How did he know? I hadn't even picked up my phone yet. Then my webcam light blinked on, by itself. Victor sent another message, this time with an attached photo. It was me, from my own webcam, taken seconds ago. "We see everything. You're part of this now." I unplugged the computer, ripped the webcam out, and threw it across the room. My phone buzzed immediately. A new text appeared. "Don't be stupid." Attached was a photo of my apartment building, taken from across the street. I understood the message. I wasn't free to leave. Over the next few weeks, the shipments kept coming. I stopped sleeping. I stopped eating. I handled the packages like they were bombs, because in a way, they were. Each one was a death sentence waiting to be delivered. The payments increased, but so did the control. Victor's messages became commands. "Deliver to this address at midnight. No questions. Smile for the camera when you're done." Every time I hesitated, he reminded me what was at stake by sending another photo, another video, another subtle threat. He had everything. My personal information, my social security number, footage from my laptop camera, even my building's entry code. Eventually, the guilt outweighed the fear. I couldn't live like that anymore. I decided to go to the police, turn everything over, beg for protection. But when I drove to the station, a black van followed me the entire way, every turn, every stop. I never made it inside. That night, Victor sent me a message that broke me completely. Attached was a photo of my sister, smiling, walking home from work. "We know where your family lives. You'll keep working, or she disappears." I didn't reply. I didn't have to. They knew I understood. For months, I kept doing what they asked. I became efficient, robotic, detached. The fear dulled into numbness. Each delivery blurred into the next until I stopped keeping track of what I was moving or where it was going. I just wanted to survive. Then one morning, I woke to silence. No new orders, no messages. The email chain was gone, erased from every device. I checked the crypto wallet. Empty. It was like Victor had never existed. But the crates kept coming. Different return addresses, different markings, no instructions. Just shipments, like clockwork. And every time I thought about ignoring them, I'd find something. A note on my car windshield, a photo on my phone, a whisper that reminded me they were still watching. I don't know who they are anymore. Maybe Victor was never a person. Maybe it was an organization. Maybe it was an algorithm that found desperate people like me and pulled them into its system. All I know is this. Once you take that first job, once you open that first box, you're owned. You're a ghost working for ghosts, and no matter how far you run, the shipments always find you.